In the late 1990s, a British children's TV show burst onto the scene, enchanting young viewers with its whimsical characters and lively world. The Teletubbies, crafted by Ann Wood and Andrew Davenport, became an instant hit, captivating both kids and adults with their unique mix of educational content, imaginative storytelling, and infectious joy. Each Teletubby had a distinct appearance, personality, and color, making them easily recognizable and relatable to young viewers. While these characters are adored by children worldwide, there's one specific Teletubbies photo that has been unsettling people, and it's not hard to understand why. The photo shows a young boy in what seems like a hospital room, surrounded by 4 main Teletubbies. However, these aren't the usual Teletubbies we know. These ones have entirely black, lifeless eyes, creating a rather disturbing image as all 4 stare into the camera. But what's the story behind this photo? Let's take a closer look. In the background, there's a poster of Dutch football star Dennis Bergkamp, suggesting that this picture was likely taken in the Netherlands. It's worth noting that the image in the corner appears to be a snapshot of another image, almost like a picture of a picture. These outfits are intentionally designed to be spooky and disturbing, suggesting a deliberate choice in their creation. The first instance of this image on the internet is linked to a Reddit post in the r/creepy subreddit. The post captioned, "As if being sick as a kid wasn't scary enough, I saw this on the wall in the children's ward of an English hospital," was shared by the uploader JF1984 under the topic, "Celebrities Who Visited Us." Interestingly, the uploader JF1984 hasn't posted on Reddit for almost 7 years, but remains active on other social networking sites under the name JF Doodles. When YouTuber Scare Theater reached out to him about the Teletubbies image, JF1984 mentioned seeing it on the notice board in a children's hospital waiting area. Unfortunately, he couldn't provide more details due to the hospital's strict patient confidentiality policies. Despite efforts, it's challenging to dig up more information about this image. Given the circumstances, we can only speculate that it might be an attempt to cheer up a hospitalized child. However, considering the unsettling nature of the characters, it's safe to assume that the surprise visit might not have had the intended positive impact on the youngster's mood. If you've explored the creepy side of the internet for even a bit, you might have come across The Rake. This spooky tale originated in the early 2000s on the 4chan forum. At first, it was a series of anonymous posts sharing encounters with a mysterious creature in the woods. Picture a humanoid figure with pale, gaunt features, long limbs, and big, piercing eyes. That's The Rake. Even if the name doesn't ring a bell, you've probably seen the image. It shows some creature lurking in the bottom right corner of the photo, taken in a forest at night. The Rake is depicted with glowing white eyes and a slim body, an image that has given chills to those who stumbled upon it. People puzzled over what this terrifying entity could be. The image circulated widely on the internet, and its realistic appearance convinced many it was a genuine photo captured by a trail camera or something similar. But digging into the photo's origins revealed it was actually part of a big marketing campaign for the video game Resistance 3, released on September 6, 2011. In Resistance 3, players come across a creature called the Grim, which bears a striking resemblance to the infamous creepypasta figure, the Rake. The Grim's design, with its pale and emaciated look, struck a chord with the online community, making it the go-to visual representation for the Rake. Like many creepypastas, the Rake's story quickly gained traction across various online platforms. Writers and artists added their own twists and adaptation to the creature's mythology. The connection between the Rake and the image from Resistance 3 played a big part in its widespread recognition within the online horror community. While the photo may have given some internet users the creeps, it's interesting to note that this image played a role in bringing more attention to creepypastas. Without the rake's widespread popularity and its association with the Resistance 3 image, creepypastas might not have gained much recognition. This is the last known photo of 22-year-old Christine Rush, taken on June 26, 1989, as she went to withdraw money from an ATM. Christine lived in Lenexa, Kansas with her roommate, Teresa Brown. They were last seen at their apartment in the Trafalgar Square area on June 25th. The next day, Christine called both Teresa's boss and her own, saying they wouldn't be at work due to illness. After those calls, neither Christine nor Teresa were ever seen or heard from again. An investigation into their disappearances started quickly. Just 2 days later, on June 28th, a car belonging to a wanted man named Richard Grimson Jr. was found parked outside an apartment complex in Grandview. Inside his car were items belonging to Christine and Teresa, like their jewelry and credit cards, as well as a key to their apartment. A key to the apartment of another missing local woman, Joan Butler, was also discovered inside. Grimson was located and arrested just over a week later on July 7th. A painter and decorator by trade, Grimson had master keys to multiple apartment buildings throughout Lenexa. He also had a history of violence, having committed his first murder at 16. Although their bodies were never found, Grimson stood trial for the murders of Christine, Teresa, and Joan. He was found guilty in 1990 and received 4 life sentences. He's also a prime suspect in at least 2 other cases. Despite not being eligible for parole until 2095 and having nothing to lose, Grimson has never told the police where he buried his victims. Which brings us to this photo of Christine, the last one ever taken of her. Captured on a surveillance camera at 10 p.m. on June 26th, she drove to an ATM in Belton, Missouri, and emptied Teresa's bank account. At this very moment, she was being held against her will by Grimson. Detectives believe that Teresa had already been killed by this point, and Christine herself would meet the same fate shortly after, withdrawing the money for Grimson. Given the background, this black and white image of her face becomes extremely haunting. This is the last photograph taken of Angela Hoagland. She disappeared on her way home from football practice back on April 5, 2008, in Johnson, Sweden. A local resident, testing his new digital camera, unknowingly captured this image of Angela. He had no idea it would become the final photograph of her while she was still alive. Angela's failure to return home that day worried her mother. She tried to reach her daughter via cell phone, but there was no answer. Something very unusual for Angela. Concerned, her mother started searching for her. This search led to a chilling discovery in the woods: Angela's abandoned bike, the same one she was riding in the photograph. However, there was no sign of her. Her mother immediately contacted the authorities, setting off a widespread search effort that gained significant media attention, not just in Sweden, but throughout Scandinavia. Search parties scoured the areas near her disappearance, hoping for her safe return. But as time passed, hope dwindled. The man who accidentally photographed Angela before her disappearance eventually realized the importance of his image. He came forward, giving investigators vital evidence. Another photograph on his camera showed a red Saab 900 following Angela. This led them to Anders Eklund, a 42-year-old truck driver. Under questioning, Eklund shockingly confessed to Angela's murder and directed authorities to her hidden remains. Despite his confession and the photographic evidence of him following her, Eklund claimed his actions were not premeditated. He said he had never met Angela before, and her frightened reaction led to a tragic chain of events. According to Eklund's account, he approached Angler. She screamed when he advanced. He strangled her to silence and then disposed of her body in the woods. He portrayed it as a terrible misunderstanding, a narrative that was met with skepticism. DNA testing revealed a startling connection. Eklund's DNA matched traces found at the scene of a murder 8 years earlier. In that case, a 31-year-old woman named Pernilla Helgren had been strangled, and Eklund's DNA was an exact match. Once again, Eklund confessed, but maintained it was another misunderstanding. Anders Eklund was sentenced to life in prison for his horrific crimes. Yet questions remained, especially concerning other potential cases linked to him that were still under investigation.